Thanks so much for having us today. We'd like to start by acknowledging that this project that we're going to discuss was undertaken on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional gathering place for diverse Indigenous peoples, including Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Anishinaabe, and Inuit. My name is Heather Caverhill. I'm a PhD candidate at the University of British Columbia and occasionally a sessional instructor at the University of Alberta. And my co-presenter is Dr. Andrea Korda. She's an associate professor of art history at the University of Alberta's Augustana faculty. And today we're going to tell you about our online learning resource, Photographies, which takes the form of a virtual exhibition developed from the University of Alberta's Bruce Peel Special Collections. And it uses the web publishing platform Omeka. Firstly, I will describe the origins of this learning resource and discuss our approach as curators of the content. And then Andrea will talk about and show how photographies will function and how it will engage students in a classroom and in the wider public. So first off, Andrea and I go way back. Years ago, I was a student in one of her seminar classes, and I was also her teaching assistant for the History of Photography class. Back then, in order to give the history of photography students an opportunity to engage with examples of historic photography, Andrea arranged with the staff at the Bruce Peel Special Collections in the University Library to allow close to 100 students to visit. Bruce Peel has a remarkable collection of historic and contemporary photographs. So naturally, the 100 students really enjoyed seeing these works in person. The staff at the collections, probably not so much. And from those experiences teaching and also through spending time with the Peel collection for our own research, we started to think about how we could make the collection more accessible to students and the wider public without putting a massive burden on the staff and archival materials. And this idea of creating a web-based learning resource emerged. So we envisioned creating a free online course to showcase these local archival materials that could be used in the classroom and would also be available to the public. From the beginning, we approached the project as curators of content rather than as producers or authors of the resource. And we spent a lot of time with the collection, choosing concrete examples. The staff at Peel worked with us to create high quality images, so multiple images of objects and even videos to show the materiality of these works. And it was our task to put those materials into conversation with the breadth of quality resources on historic and contemporary photography that can be accessed online or through the library for free, including things like scholarly journals, ebooks, and other related exhibitions, multimedia and video demonstrations, also interviews with artists. So we see this resource as an alternative to a textbook. Textbooks are expensive, and photography's histories, like all histories, are complex and they involve multiple perspectives. So they don't fit nicely into linear narratives or rigid themes, yet chronologies and categories are unavoidable when arranged into a textbook format where one page follows another. However, with new digital tools, it's actually possible to resist linear histories and rigid thematic categories and create a more dynamic and complex picture of photography. So I'll now pass it over to Andrea.
And I see, Christy, your question about whether it's publicly available, not yet, which was the first thing I was going to say. Here you see our landing page. It's still very much under construction. There's still lots to be added. And the plan is for it to go live at the end of May. In conjunction, we're going to be launching it with Congress. So then it will be available on Bruce Peel, the Bruce Peel website. And if anyone wants an email letting them know that it's available, you can send me an email and I'll make sure to keep you in the loop. Okay, so what you see here is our landing page, and you see our 4 themes that we've posed as questions that, of course, could be organized around. Now, in addition to organizing our resource around these themes, we've also created a chronological order as well. And so you can see that's just popped up there at the top, the various chronological periods that it's divided into. So this resource can be used to teach courses that are organized thematically or chronologically because, of course, as Heather was explaining, the structure of the resource allows students to move through the content in many different ways. So I'm just going to go over to one example. Here we have a little overview of what is photography, but we'll go more specifically into this time period of 1850 to 1900. Again, we have a little overview and then some of our items that students can navigate into. And there will be more, but we'll go to this one. There will be a lot more images included here. This is just sort of a sample to show you. So we're really imagining each exhibit item and each sort of page around each item as being a hub for the various learning resources that already exist online. And so you can see we have this brief text here with lots of links. And these links for each item will take students to other resources to learn about the technologies, the materials, and the processes of photography. So here we have a lot of stuff about stereoscope technology. We also have links for students to learn more about the world events represented in the photographs. So we have an example of that down here with the Anglo-Boer War Museum website. And then we also have links to other photographers and other examples from the history of photography. So here in particular, we're bringing up the example of war photography, and we've included links to more stuff about Roger Fenton and Robert Capa. I think this is really significant because these two photographers are typically included in history of photography textbooks, in surveys. They're real canonical examples. And we see this as a real strength of this resource, that students are going to look at local resources, right? And things that aren't usually included in these kinds of histories, and yet also be directed to the canonical examples so we can start to set up kind of conversations between these items. And we also have links to other items in our exhibition, or we will have links when those things are in there. And this is another example of the ways that one can navigate through the materials, right? So that we can start to kind of build more connections for students. So just to conclude, I'll say that our hope is that by bringing these resources together on the page, we can start to make visible to students the various sources that they can bring together to and bring to bear on their analysis of this one item in Bruce Peel's collection. And we're hoping that this helps students to think of themselves as taking an active role in their learning about this object, rather than just reading a text that we have sort of polished and created for them. So we have some other ideas about engaging students with this. So if there's questions during the Q&A, I'm really happy to take those. And I just want to take one more second to really thank CTL and Krista in particular for all the support on this project and for bringing us together. So thanks a lot.